or the science.
Suffice it that the blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled in these laws. Limbs twisted and broken, eyes gouged from bloody sockets, flesh burned black.
Please. No way to death. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no schemes. What you have to realize is that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-public number.
Warning, the following show contains conservative posturing, radical Christian ideas, and may offend pagans, Wiccans, Islamic fundamentalists, and other unenlightened individuals. Callers and guests may be subjected to brash and offensive comments by the hosts and any other type of bullying tactics available. But that's okay. We know why you're here.
This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system.
Tonight is Monday, September 3rd, 2007.
What is up, guys? This is World of the Unexplained. We got that thing cranked way, way loud. Oh, my gosh, Chuck, you're killing me. You're killing me, man. What's going on over there? Just cut the music altogether. Just cut it. Just kill it. It's just too loud. It's too loud. It's too loud. Wow. Okay, as you can see, we're in our new studio, and we have no idea what's going on. So I hope it sounds good, because we're wondering ourselves. We haven't had time to play with it yet. Not like Senator Craig earlier this week. Wow. So who in here's got a wide stance besides me? Chuck, do you have a wide stance when you go to the bathroom?
I'd have to say it's fairly wide, but it ain't as wide as his. The guy's about 6'6", from what I understand.
So have you ever found yourself tapping the foot of someone next to you?
No, but I do have an interesting story about when I was in the Las Vegas airport bathroom.
Okay,
I was there on a layover. And I put my bag down in front of the stall.
Oh, not knowing you're asking, you're cruising for sex.
Code, exactly.
Yeah, all right.
And I proceeded to do my business. As I was doing it, there was an attendant or somebody in there that said, get out of there. And I was like, no, I'm not done yet.
Oh my God! So he thought you were cruising for sex. He thought I was cruising
for it, but apparently left it well enough alone when he realized that. Yeah,
you didn't have.
I didn't want to have anything
showing
to do
your
with
gold
it.
ring under the stall.
Yeah, no gold ring.
Well, for those of you that haven't seen,
tap twice for yes.
Yeah, is that what it is? Is that the code?
I have no idea.
So we've got to leave the Ron Mexico fiasco alone now, because now we've got Senator Craig.
There you go. It's a whole new one.
It doesn't mean we have to let him off the hook for it.
That's true, but this is a whole new month of material.
There you go.
So anyway, I saw this thing on MSNBC, and I think you can still get it at the website, msnbc.com. We need some kind of S filter on this. You're in the tss. You hear that?
Yeah, a little de-esser or something.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. Anyway, so you need to go to msnbc.com, and you can check out it was some kind of parody that they did of the Senator Craig incident, where they have a dragnet type of recreation of this event. So the dragnet recreation is a dum 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 dum.
What was it, on Jimmy Kimmel or something?
I don't. I just remember seeing it on MSNBC. It's something that they had done. They had recreated the Senator Craig bathroom incident
on MSNBC.
Yeah, it was a parody. It says, like, my name is, it's not Friday, but whatever the cop's name. They used the actual police reports from the incident. And so they've got it. So there's this one really colorful scene. They show, the feet in the stalls, and the guy's like, at such and such a time, I observed the man next to me's feet. He was wearing black dress shoes and black socks. I saw the gold ring as he reached under the stall. Yes. This is on MSNBC. You can still pick this up, I think, on their .com. Yeah. So, Trent, how you doing there, cowboy?
Throw your hands up, man.
Yeah.
Party going on. Throw your hands up.
So I hope everybody's having a wonderful Labor Day celebration.
Absolutely.
Chuck?
Oh, it's great, man. Great.
D? Woo! All right.
I've already told you, 3 hands up. So obviously,
We're having
I've had a pretty good time.
That's good. It's good.
How about you, Scott?
It's been trying.
I bet so. A lot of moving things,
Oh, man.
Glad you played all that Tetris years and years ago, huh?
I tell you what.
You never
I tell
played
what.
Tetris, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well.
That's why I'm terrible on moving things. It's like, look, we can fit 3 things in here. No, you can't. You can fit 16.
Of course you can, and if you
Okay,
take the
great.
little long block, it'll. That's how you make your Tetrises, really. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Do you have a wide stance, Trent?
Do I have a wide stance, like in the bathroom? You mean? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
No. I
6'6" or so. How tall are
Trent,
you,
yeah,
man?
Trent's like 6'3", right?
I'm about 10.5 feet tall.
No, seriously, what are you, 6'2", 6'3"?
6'4", actually.
Oh, 6'4" now.
Yeah, about 300. I'm really
So
a Sasquatch.
he does have a wide stance, probably.
It's really physically impossible for me not to have it.
Not to have a wide
Really.
stance, yeah.
I just got here and I'm amazed at the high quality things that I'm talking through, and that you're talking through. I mean, I don't know where these come from. I mean, did the Labor Day ferry come in and dispense them to us?
I think the Senator Craig ferry dropped.
I appreciate being referred to as a fairy.
No, you're the Labor Day ferry. So I mean, you're wearing like
Chuck
a worker's
brought
apron
these.
and
Chuck brought these for us to try out.
they're pretty. I mean, they're
They're
pretty.
the new microphones. They're nice, Chuck. We like them. I don't know how they're going to sound. Stop. People are listening out there. My God.
All of a sudden,
This isn't a test run.
Somewhere in Tennessee. Oh God.
Well, we've got the same fun number, 877-SCARE-U2.
It's written up here on the wall.
No, it's not.
Okay.
877-SCARE-U2. That's toll-free in the United States and Canada. Call in, and it's locally 336-996-1596. Same as always. We'll take your call.
I got a computer now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's high-tech, baby.
Seriously. We're moving to a different sound now.
We are. Anyway, tonight we're gonna break from our normal paranormal discussion because, well, frankly, I thought that Trent had booked someone for this week and he hadn't, and I kind of scrambled around to get something going on.
Yeah, I know.
Tried to call Joshua P. Warren to see if I could get him on for the first hour or so, but I guess I didn't get in, with him early enough. So I do have a good friend of mine that's just finished a book. It's
That's
a
right.
It's a
You know what?
political book.
And you know what the thing is? I didn't know he was even writing one.
Yeah, he's been working on it for some time.
Okay.
It's not been published yet. So I mean, he just finished it, and it just got. You can wait, man. It just got put out as far as it got sent out to the Copyright House and all that stuff, and all that's been taken care of. He's got a little MySpace site on it. We're going to mention it, but it's basically the whole premise of the book is that a lot of people out there that say they're liberals, they're really not. Yeah, they're really conservatives. They just don't know it.
That's interesting.
It is. See, you're going to find out you're a conservative. By the
I
way.
am.
Yeah. Even old libertarian Chuck over here.
No, I realize where
Libby C.
my leanings are.
As long as they don't involve airport bathrooms.
I'm not sure though if it's necessarily they're conservatives. Maybe they're just ideologues or demagogues, man.
Ooh, ideologues and demagogues, yes.
Oh yeah.
My.
Of the patriarchal society. Yes.
So anyway,
I don't know.
but it's you're not a Democrat. You just think you are. So that's
that the
kind
name
of
of
the
the-
premise. I believe that's the name of the book. Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting name of the book. I
Yeah.
think that's a pretty catchy. It's like, what? People will look at it, and that's what they'll
It's got a picture of
say.
like a donkey on it, with the blinders on every size,
Oh, like
Yeah.
one of those things that dogs wear when they have injuries?
No,
Is that what
like
you're talking
the
about?
horses,
I'm
so
sorry.
they can't
Okay.
see.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a unique. It's different.
Clearly, I don't know anything about donkeys
Yeah, well, that's
or
good.
dogs or veterinary medicine or anything.
Anyway, so that's Johnnie Garmon is his name, and he's going to be on later. I've known Johnny for a number of years. A good Republican guy.
He is that. I mean,
He's actually
he's very,
been involved in the Republican Party in South Carolina. He's been involved in a number of different, backing a number of different Republican campaigns.
He's very
and,
strong about his politics. He's
He
very
is.
passionate.
Chuck, you'll
about
like him.
His politics.
I don't know. Not if he was around there in 2000 during the
I'm
campaign.
not-
Well, then again, it depends on who he was working with. But
I'm not sure. You're going to have to ask him. He's been involved.
you know what I'm
in-
referring to, though, where McCain got stomped down there.
No, I don't
No,
remember.
no.
No,
It's
it's been too long ago.
Worst debacle in in recent political history, man.
Scott only has a memory of about 3.5 days.
That's right. After that, it's gone. What did we do last week?
We were on the show, Scott. Actually, a different room, different building. And
That's right. Let me ask you this: who do we have for next week?
We have oh my gosh, Donald Gargiello, I believe. I don't know if that's really how you pronounce his name.
What does he talk about?
He's an exorcist.
Oh, this is going to be fun. We're going to get an exorcist.
Straight up,
next
man.
week.
He's an exorcist. I got an exorcist.
That's awesome. Man.
I'll bring up his bio.
Yeah, okay. Well,
just
take your time. Take your time. But so anyway, next week we're going to have an exorcist on. That'll be fun. But Johnny, like I said, it kind of breaks with a paranormal talk because it's just going to keep it conservative talk tonight and no real paranormal. I mean, we'll try to get a ghost story out of him if he's got one. He does have some unique other things, though. I think he told me about some strange lights he's seen in the skies over his old house in South Carolina.
So we'll have some kind of paranormal vibe.
Yeah, maybe we can throw that in there. But yeah. So anyway, but mainly, like I said, it was just short notice, and yeah, we know how much you guys love to hear us blow our steam off here. But it was just trying to get all this set up today.
I'm amazed because I was here about like an hour ago, and the three of you guys basically did all the techie stuff, and as usual,
Chuck's just in there plugging away, going, "Oh Lord,
is that working? Is that working?" Chuck, how do you think about
what you guys do to this?
Exactly. But yeah, it turned out okay, we think. So everybody's like, we can't hear anything.
Nothing's making no sense.
But it's all muffled, man.
Weird and stuff.
And we're still in Kernersville, North Carolina, a small town where we talk about large things.
No, Scott, that would totally change the...
No, we're still in Kernersville.
Well, we aren't still in Kernersville, but large things, that gives a totally different vibe to the... to the show. I don't think.
Anyway, I'm babbling. Let's talk about Senator Craig some more. Okay. We don't want to release Ron in Mexico, so come on, Chuck. What do you have to say about him?
About Ron?
Yeah, about Ron.
I don't know, man. I don't know if there's anything left to be said about him.
You didn't want to let him off the hook, so.
Well, I don't think he should come back to the NFL. I mean,
now, what do you think about what the NAACP said about it?
What that he was being singled out as a black man?
Yeah.
A successful black man?
Yeah.
Well, what was the thing they're saying about dog fighting was a cultural institution?
Yeah, I heard something about that too.
I mean, you said something about that, Chuck. I didn't hear it.
Well, that I'm not sure that dogfighting is necessarily indicative to all black people, but there is a large segment of African Americans that do participate in dogfighting. And
I'd say there's a large segment of poorer white people in the South that participate.
Yeah, that's true.
What's more interesting about it, though, is you don't have Hispanics out there doing it, but they do participate in other stuff like cockfighting.
Cockfighting, yeah.
I guess it just depends on where you're from. Oh, he's Mexican. You must be into cockfighting. Oh, you're a poor, black or white person from the South. You must be into dogfighting.
Well, I mean, cockfighting is sort of a cultural thing too. I mean, it really is a cultural thing down in Latin America, Central America, and stuff like that. I mean, it's very common for them to do that.
I think it's a cop out.
But I think where the racial element comes in with Mike Vick is that he was the first black quarterback ever to be drafted #1 overall in the NFL draft. So maybe there is actually a racial component to that.
Well, we need to turn that off.
Yeah,
we'll have to figure that out. There's a phone line. I don't even know if is that the call-in line or what?
No, that's the landline.
Oh, it's not the call-in line.
Ship to shore.
That's actually the guest line. Is that what that is? I guess that is the guest line.
Okay, I found the info on our guest.
Go ahead. Shoot it.
I'm sorry, it's not Donald. I apologize. It was.
What's the guy's name?
Daniel Gargiello.
Daniel Gargiello.
I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm really making a guess, though. I don't know. Father Daniel Gargiello is a practicing exorcist and priest of the Byzantine Rite Church, Catholic Church. The founder of Gargoyle's occult investigations, he assists law enforcement in the investigation of satanic cults, ritual abuse, and other occult crime. Father Gargiello resides in Baltimore, Maryland, and has previously appeared on Coast to Coast, AM, George Noory, Learning Channel series, Weird Worlds, and other broadcast and print.
So he doesn't have
websites.
a book or anything?
It doesn't seem that he has a book. Let's see, what else does he have?
I have a bug flying around there. Kill that thing, man.
I will use my mental powers. So anyway, seriously, I mean, Father Daniel Gargiello is an exorcist.
Well, we got a caller on our guest line already.
Practicing exorcist.
Ron Hunter. How's it going, Ron?
Hello?
Hello, Ron. Can you hear us, Ron? Okay. You still got him over there on the line, D?
It's cut off. Okay,
Yeah.
1 second. Pick it back up.
Pick it back up. Let's try this. Sorry. See if you can hear it. Good old technical difficulties.
Well, you know-
always when you move stuff, man. You get all
there's-
kinds of
I'm amazed we're actually broadcasting
broadcasting.
right now.
I am too. Who knows? I mean, obviously we are because someone called. But
That's true.
Chuck, you know what the problem is?
I'm
No,
beginning to think, yeah.
we got a broken piece there. We can just. Okay. Well, anyway, so this guy, go back, Gargiello.
Gargiello, Garguilio.
Okay. So he's been on all these cable channels and he's a
He's a practicing exorcist.
wow.
And a priest.
What has he done?
And a priest of the Byzantine Rite Catholic Church. Okay. Let's see what else we got here.
So how many exorcisms has this guy performed?
We're not going to talk. We'll talk to him.
No, I mean I was just wondering if you know. off the top of your head.
Probably, but I'm not going to make a number just yet.
Okay. More than 2.
I would assume so. You know.
All right.
Well, actually, technically, you could have one exorcism and
Still be an
part.
exorcist. Yeah, I guess you could. Oh, here we go. We've got a caller coming in again. I'm assuming that's Ron, probably.
Yeah.
Calling back. Yeah, we're trying to jump it around here tonight, so who knows? Who knows what's going on? I think he's got him now. I think Chuck's going to try to push him through.
2?
Yeah, 2.
Ron, you with us tonight?
1 second.
1 second, Ron. If you can hear us, just hang tight with us. We're trying to bring you on. Chuck thinks he's figured out the problem. Ron, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, we got you. Yay! Woo! Okay, how's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. How are you guys? Congratulations on your new studio.
Well, thank you. Obviously, it's working great.
Oh yeah, it's
It needed to be tested. I thought I'd call in and be the first caller to help you christen it a little bit.
Well, thank you.
right.
We're glad you called because now we realized that we didn't have everything set up right.
Right. I'm in one of the chat rooms. I'm in the chat room with Robin Valley Community Radio.
Oh, cool.
Some new advertisements here on your website. You guys got some new affiliates?
Yeah, we were working on some right now. Robin Valley's in Omaha. Tell Scott I said hi. That's Scott from Robin Valley. I'm not in the chat room. I think Trent's going to jump in there in a little bit, but I'm not going to be in there tonight. But so, what do you think about this whole Senator Craig situation, Ron?
Well, I mean, it's pretty disturbing, especially since he's in charge of representing all those people before the government, and they spend all that money.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, I've worked in an airport, and sometimes I guess people don't understand, things that can go on right under your nose in public and even in a high security area like that. I don't know. I think it's very disturbing, but
it is.
The testimony kind of speaks for itself. Well, I mean, what do you guys have been kind of kicking it back and forth? Do you think he resigned fast enough, or there should be charges pressed against him, or what?
I think he got what he deserved. I'm glad that the Republicans are pressing him to get out of the office.
Well, legally, he already copped to it. He already pled
guilty.
guilty.
Pled guilty.
I mean, there's nothing left for it.
Wasn't there somebody else that came in and removed him from their press releases for the last 2 years? I think it was one of the presidential candidates. I heard that on the news.
Could you repeat that again?
I think it was one of the major presidential candidates were so upset when the news reports came out that they went and tried to delete all the references to the incident and from their press releases for the last 2 years. Did you hear that?
Oh, wow. No, I didn't hear that.
I hadn't heard that either.
That's on the internet. You guys should look that up. That's some juicy stuff too. That was a major
gosh.
I think it was Tancredo, but I'm not sure. I'm doing that from memory.
I like Tancredo. I think he's the guy I'd vote for if I had a choice right now. For all the Republican nominees that are out there, I think he's the best.
I think I'd like to see more people. I'm looking for someone to really represent people better that has a mainstream following.
How about somebody like Mike Huckabee from Arkansas? What do you think of him?
I haven't really had a chance to look at him in depth enough to form an opinion. It's still too early in the races. You got to look at what I'm looking at now is the political maneuvering. I'm looking at how the Democratic Party appears to be presenting, its two major candidates, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. and how they're manipulating, or not manipulating, God, I can't believe I said that, how they're putting out their advertising and their political campaigning, how the posturing is going at this level. It's tough for me to say, where the American people are going to place their faith after all the things that have gone on in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's too tough for me to call right now.
No, I tell you, it is manipulation, though, Ron. You're right on that. Well, listen, we're going to let you go. We're going to have to take a break, Ron. But thanks for calling in and christening the show, our first new caller.
Yeah, thanks, Ron.
Exactly. Remember, all those listeners out there can't wait to hear the best of the best. So you guys are going to bring it to them.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Ron. We appreciate your call.
All right.
Take care. All right, Ron Hunter from Raleigh. Guys, we're going to take a short break. And after we come back from the break, we're going to bring on our guest, which would be Johnnie Garmon. And we'll have him on in just a little bit. You're listening to World of the Unexplained. We'll talk to you in a bit. You're listening to World of the Unexplained. This is Jay Scott. Tonight we have Johnnie Garmon, the author of You Might Be a Democrat. I'm sorry, I just screwed up the name of his book. You Might Think You're a Democrat. Johnny, help me out here.
You want me to come in and rescue you here?
Exactly. You're not a Democrat, you just think you are.
There you go.
There we
You're
go.
not a Democrat, you just think you are.
And this book was written in part, I've known Johnny for, 10 years, 15 years?
Now, yeah.
It's been a long time. And he wrote this book from conversations based on things that we used to talk about when I was a flaming liberal. When I was a Senator Craig liberal.
There were actual flames around Scott's head. It was a terrible condition.
To, shorten his stance a little bit.
It's not as wide as it used to be. But, my eyes were opened. It mainly started with the whole political correct atmosphere getting so crazy. And tonight, Johnny's going to tell us a little bit about his book. Trent mentioned the title earlier. Why did you call it that?
Well, I really wanted something provocative, and I appreciate Trent saying that because it's exactly what I hoped what the title would do. I wanted something to be pithy, something that would almost challenge the reader to want to pick it up. We all have beliefs. We think we believe what we believe for certain reasons, obviously our worldview, our situations that we've been through. But, why do you believe what you believe? And is it exactly, the people that you vote for in politics, are they representing truly what you believe? And a lot of people, when you're talking with them, when you're discussing whatever the political issue might be, those of us who really, like me, are just political junkies, you tend to find out that, look, you might be more conservative than what you think you are based on what you're telling me here. And it kind of challenges the reader to take a look at themselves, look at some of the data, some of the information I've gotten in the book that I've documented. And what makes the book really different from anything else that I've seen out on the market is the fact that at each end of each chapter, you have 4 questions, basically, and just ask you simple true or false, and it lets you score yourself. Well, do you believe this, true or false? Should this be this way? Mark it true or false. And at the end of 10 chapters, at the end of the book, it allows you to go back and tally yourself to decide whether or not, hey, I am more conservative, or maybe you're not. But you're going to find out based on scoring yourself honestly and by reading the book. So,
well, Chuck's a libertarian. Or maybe he just thinks he is. I'm not sure.
I haven't done that book yet. I might.
You think you're a libertarian, but
now Chuck was asking. I know. Tell our listeners. I know you've been a part of the Republican Party in South Carolina. Tell us what you've been involved in there.
Well, I've originally got started up in Wilmington when I was living in Wilmington for those years.
Okay.
I was on one of the committees to help elect Elizabeth Dole when she was taking over Jesse Helms' seat that he had forever. So I got my feet wet a little bit with that, moved to Myrtle Beach, and in the Myrtle Beach area, I really got involved with local, real boring stuff. I'm talking precinct reorganizational committee chairman, voting sign-up. Actually worked some of the precinct phone banks there for a while during the last election. Also worked with, at the time, Congressman Jim DeMint, who was from the Greenville, Spartanburg area, and worked on his campaign to elect him to the Senate seat, which he won. He took over Fritz Hollings' seat, another long time seat that was held by a Democrat, and was successful with that, and just kind of helped out where I could, if I could. The result of the book was I had a lot of situations working with those guys, and being able to talk with them without the cameras around or without a newspaper guy writing down everything they said. Some of what they said I liked, some of what they said I didn't like, and I got that documented in the book also. A lot of these I'm naming names, so.
No, please name all the names you want. What you said without a microphone in their face, without a camera there. What do you think YouTube has done to that, and all these cellular phones with video cameras and all that? Do you think that's going to impact the political atmosphere any in the future?
I think it's definitely going to impact what people are going to want to say or try to do. I think we ran into it. What was it with Senator Allen up in Virginia? He made that comment. I believe someone caught it on a cell phone recorder, or
no, it was an opposition or somebody from the opposition campaign actually that was there filming it with a video camera.
Ouch!
But yeah, I like to refer to it as the macacaization of U.S. politics.
Exactly. That's exactly. You're going to have to absolutely watch what you say, and just before you say it, you're going to have to think to yourself, do I want this on the front of the New York Times? And I truly believe that's one of the reasons why you got people like President Bush right now, who, when he does have a press conference, he is so scared to say anything, he ends up screwing up and saying everything except what he wanted to say.
Huh. Well, that's one explanation, I
guess so. The other thing about YouTube,
be one of them anyway.
One of the thing about YouTube is the fact that when we see the political ads, mainly about 99% of us go like, oh, hell, then we click them somewhere else. But with YouTube, it's like you can choose to see what you want to see. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't know, they can get longer or whatever. It's definitely going to revolutionize the nature of what they want their message to be.
Now, tell us about some of the chapters that you've got in this book and what you cover, Johnny.
Well, I cover everything from, the good old stuff like abortion rights, where everybody likes to, start swinging, to more economic issues, such as how the economic impact of our foreign imported oil and gasoline, why that is. One of the books that, if there's any Democrats that are listening, or if there's any ticked-off conservatives, as I could say I am right now, I'm more of a conservative than I am as a Republican. But one of those chapters, Chapter 4, is entitled Republican Reform or Liberal Light, and I got that from the election a couple of years back, where here we are, we felt like, as a conservative, I felt like that, we did all this hard work. I know for myself, again, I was working the phone banks, I was out trying to get people signed up. And these politicians, these conservatives or Republicans, they get elected, they go to Congress, they go to the Senate, or in George Bush's case, the presidency, and they just turn into a liberal light. They turn into a watered-down liberal, and that's not what we were looking for. So I document a whole chapter, Republican Reform, Liberal Light. Which one is it? We thought we were getting one thing, we got something else. So I talk about that. I go into our healthcare situation, healthcare calamity, social insecurity. I talk about that, but you name it, it's probably in there to some degree.
All right, now I was wondering. This is a paranormal show normally, so I'm going to bring this up, and we're not going to think you're a weirdo for saying this. So, and I know no one else will either. But I was down at your house, and I saw this too with my own eyes. I was telling the guys about it on the show. I guess when I came back, I guess this was another holiday weekend, a few months ago, it seems like. When was that?
When you were at my house?
Yeah, in Myrtle Beach.
That was back in May.
Okay, back in May. I think it was a holiday or something, wasn't it? Maybe I'm just mixed up.
Can't remember.
It was my holiday. Anyway.
You're always on a holiday. What are you talking about?
Exactly. So, anyway, I'm down there, though, and we're outside, and you're smoking a cigar, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and we're looking up in the night sky, and we see this giant light, and I'm like, well, he's like, that's the North Star, I think. And I'm like, that can't be the North Star, because, this over here is this, and this over there is that. And we started talking about it, and it was just really, really bright. And it looked like it moved a little bit. And we kept watching this thing.
Right.
And you remember this. And then we went inside for a little bit, and we were watching Hannity and Combs. I think this was the episode where Sean Hannity basically was punking Alan Combs and saying, I'm going to be at this thing in Honolulu and all this. I don't remember what it was. It was a conservative get together. He said, well, your friends are going to be there, Alan. All the protesters. It was one of those things. And then we come back out to see if this thing had moved because we were talking about it, and we come back outside and it's not even there anymore.
Gone.
Right.
And we looked at the way the stars had shifted in the sky to determine where it would actually be.
Where it should have been if it was a star.
And it wasn't there. And it wasn't an airplane.
No.
The thing was stationary?
Yeah. And this thing was also, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up. If you do, just cut me off now, John. Okay,
you're fine. You're
all right,
fine.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, Johnny had told me that he had seen on numerous occasions some lights fly by over there that, he couldn't explain what they were.
I lived there for about 2 years, and through that time, me and my next-door neighbor, we would actually come out. He would come and get me, or I would go and get him, because it seemed like, every 4 or 5 months, about the same time, it was right after dusk, we would go out, and right behind my house, Scott, this would have been in the adjacent direction from where we were looking that night, but we would just see these, looks like fireballs. They was just it was a straight line of about 3 or 4 balls that would just light up in sequence from left to the right. It would stay, and then they would go out in the same sequence. Another time, you would sit there and just watch them, and then they would light up in the other direction in sequence, back and forth. And I'm talking, these things were, they were bright. Stationary, same place. It happened so much one night, I remember walking back in and watching the local news channel because so many people had called in to 911 wanting to know what it was.
Wow.
And I live, at the time I was over at that house, I just recently moved, but I only lived about 3 or 4 miles off the coast from Myrtle Beach. And, you have the news the next morning was talking about how, well, it may have just been jet aircraft or something like that, although they couldn't confirm anything. So who knows, but I know it happened on at least 3 occasions that I personally saw it. My next-door neighbor said it would happen even more than that. So
you didn't think they were jet aircraft, though?
No, you got no sound, you got no movement that you would expect to see with a jet aircraft or helicopter or anything like that. The balls, they were larger than what the plane would have been anyway.
Huh.
So let alone let it just be a light on top of a flying airplane or helicopter. So,
when I lived in Jacksonville Beach in Florida, I lived near the coast. Obviously, I was at Jacksonville Beach. I lived right across the street from the ocean, and we were near the Air Force base down there, and you could hear when the planes went by. You heard them. Okay, you knew for a fact. Okay, that's a fighter jet. Because of just the loud sound that it makes when it goes by. But it was amazing that night that I spent with him down there and seeing this thing, the stationary light object in the sky.
This is a possible. I don't know.
Go for it. Because we're up for sane explanations.
One night I remember coming home pretty late, and I saw a similar thing at the folks' house years and years and years ago. And it was a bright light in the sky, but it was stationary, and it didn't seem to be in the placement of any kind of star that I knew of. And it was much, much brighter. Of course, it was late at night, and I talked to Pop about it. And he speculated that it might have been because of the time of night it might have been the International Space Station up in the sky. It was very clear that night. And, with the time of night that I was coming in, the sun's rays would just be cresting the horizon of the planet before it actually got light, and hit it while it was up there in orbit, and it's so big that it wouldn't actually move like a satellite like we knew. I'm not saying that, but it definitely was a possibility from my experience. I don't know about you guys.
Our number toll-free, 877-SCARE-U2. I think that's 877-722-7382, if memory serves me correct, but I don't know. It's not in front of me anymore.
7382, that sounds right.
Yeah, locally, 336-996-1596. Give us a call and speak with Johnnie Garmon, the author of this new book, You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. Did I get it right that time?
You got it.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Well, we got about 5 minutes before our hard break at the top of the hour, Johnny. Let's go into some more detail about some of these questions. How many total questions are there in the book on the survey?
Well, there's 10 chapters, and there's 4 questions per chapter. So you got a total of 40 questions. 50% of the questions are going to be Democrat responses. 50% of the questions are going to be more conservative Republican responses. And I went through great lengths to try to make it as black and white, crystal clear as I could. Now, this is not going to be a 100% test. Nothing ever is. But in statistics, whoever has statistics class, I think I can remember 1 or 2 lessons in that class. If you get beyond 30 questions in any type of sample, you're into what they call the arena of high numbers, which would give you a 95% accuracy rate when you rate yourself. So I'm trying to keep the questions pretty specific, and like I said, like for Chapter 1, Moral Relevancy, Empty Absolutes is the name of the chapter, and with that chapter, you would have specific questions pertaining to that chapter. I'm for protecting a woman's right to choose. I am against protecting a woman's right to choose. I try to, you guys know as well as I do, how you question the question can persuade the answer in one way or another.
Yeah.
And I went to great lengths. I probably could have done better on some of these, but I think I did a pretty good job in trying to come up with specific questions. And maybe after the break, Scott, if we got time, I wouldn't mind maybe asking you guys a couple just to see where you stand and just to give you a taste of what some of the questions would be, and go from there.
Trent's going to be a Senator Craig Republican. Okay.
I got a wide stance, man. dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 no!
Trent, you being about 6'5", you would have that wide.
Yeah. I can't help it, Johnny, whether I want it or not.
I understand.
Now, I think you know everybody here, Johnny, except for Chuck and Dee.
Yeah.
You know Trent.
I met them. Good to meet you guys. Good to talk to you.
You too, man.
But yeah, so 877-722-7382. I think that's right. Or that's toll-free 1-877-SCARE-U2, or locally 336-996-1596. Just call in after the break because we're getting ready to take a break here at the top of the hour.
Hard break.
Hard break. That's right.
Hard talk.
It's harsh.
Political. Harsh.
And see, I told you guys that, it's, not exactly the kind of show you normally get out of us, but we threw in the UFO thing.
Yeah, we like to take it out.
Yeah, we just take it out of the box and
jazz it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Can't believe I used the word jazz, but
How about Zaz?
Zaz.
Now you've got a MySpace site up right now, don't you?
Yeah, I sure do. I just put it up. It kind of sucks right now, but please feel free to take a look at it. You just go to myspace.com/Not a Democrat Now, NOW, Not a Democrat Now.
Okay, so myspace.com/Not a Democrat Now.
Exactly.
And are you gonna be putting up a website for the book later?
I will. Like you said earlier in the program, I'm in the middle of shopping to a couple of publishers, and I got my hands full trying to get all that done. But I definitely want to get a website up and run with it straight from there. So.
All right, great. Well, we're gonna talk to you when we come back about some of the chapters and some of the questions available, excuse me, in this upcoming book. Once again, Johnnie Garmon is the author. The book is You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. And the MySpace site is myspace.com/Not a Democrat Now. And you can give us a call after the break at 877-SCARE-U2 or locally 336-996-1596 and ask or answer any question that you may have. As far as if he's got some questions that you want to answer and you can participate alongside us, feel free to find out if you're really a hardcore conservative or one of those pansy liberals. Feel free to give us a call. We're listening to World of the Unexplained tonight, and we'll be right back after this short break. And tonight we're here with Johnnie Garmon, the author of You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. Johnny.
Yes, sir.
And here's Johnny. No, I had to do that at least once tonight. Tell us, give me some examples from some of these questions in your book. Tell me about, what do you got for us?
Sure. We got a lot going on right now with global warming. We hear about that in the news about every night.
Yeah.
Chapter 7 is entitled Global Warming, Freedom Freezing. And the reason why I named it that is just for the reason that, a lot of liberal politicians, activists, environmentalists, wackos, as Rush Limbaugh would call them,
Can we say Al Gore? No.
Or Al Gore, absolutely. They want to promote environmentally friendly policies, which are great, no problem there. But the way the conservatives are going to come down on this, the way I come down on this, is that that's fine. We need to try to do everything we can to conserve, try to make the planet a better place. But when it comes down to using false science, inconclusive science to try to state that A plus B equals C, when there's no conclusive data that shows that, we can't build policies and regulations around what we think is the cause of a problem. And with global warming, freedom, freezing, I go in throughout the chapters and I show how there's two sides to the argument as to why it's happening. Most conservatives and Democrats agree that the Earth has warmed about 1 degree over the last 100 to 150 years.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Is what the scientists are trying to figure out. But with the liberals, they're wanting to produce policies and set regulations that infringe on our liberty, infringe on our freedoms, to come down to, I heard one article in the paper, or read one article in the paper not too long ago, where they wanted to tax you overseas. A country was wanting to tax you for grilling out because you're creating a carbon footprint when you're grilling your hamburgers.
They want the hamburger tax. That's what we should call it.
Hamburger tax. So basically, that's what that chapter is about. It's showing how, if we're going to continue to try to live the quality of lifestyle that we're living, we're going to need to do some common sense type policies that can prove to help the situation if there could be one.
Well, we were talking the other night, and I brought something to your attention that I don't think you were aware of at the time about these energy-efficient light bulbs. I use them, and I like them. The ones Al Gore is so adamant about, getting people to buy. Mm-hmm. You're looking at basically, I think, a 16-watt light bulb that's going to last you 5 years.
But apparently, disposing of them was even more harmful.
Exactly.
For the environment.
That's what I was talking to Johnny about.
It's like a toxic gas.
I'm sorry?
Argon?
Tell you that part?
I'm sorry?
You mean they didn't tell you that part of it?
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Okay.
I'm still going to use them anyway, though. And every time I gas up my V6 outside, my sports car, I'm using the fossil fuel, my friend.
Yeah. I like the lights too, actually. I do. I prefer them over the regulars.
And
but
they do save you. They save you energy. You're saving money.
The thing about that, though, is, guys, the good thing about that is it's your choice whether or not you want to purchase that.
Well,
if it makes economic sense to you and it makes environmental sense to do that, by all means, let's do it. But to be mandated for on the basis that, well, this is going to stop global warming when they have no facts to prove that is wrong. And to me, it's more about trying to control and limit freedom and liberty than it is about the environment. I cited my study here, if you'll allow me, or in this chapter. And Scott, I think I told you this the other night when we were talking, that Mars has actually went up about 1 degree also in the same amount of time as Earth has. They talk about solar warming, not just global warming, but solar warming, and how the sun will cool and get hotter and that sort of thing. So there's just all different types of opinions on this.
D tells me that the lawnmower that you use produces more of a carbon footprint than your car does. Is this a riding lawnmower or is it riding lawnmower? Push lawnmower too? Any gas lawnmower?
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's a little more primitive, for example. I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll have to all go back to those wheels with the little spikes on them.
I mean, it's not as efficient as your modern car.
What it may be, actually, is it's not all small motors have catalytic converters on them.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That probably is the biggest contribution.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll live in high grass and drive hybrids.
No. You just get a goat, man. You get a goat. I have a plan. It's called Rent a Goat. You go and rent the goat during the summer.
What about the methane they produce?
Break out some scissors?
Well, that's true.
Break out some scissors.
Dee brings up a very good point. That,
that's true, actually.
Methane is
the
number one contributor to global warming.
Yeah, and you see those big feedlots out west. There's thousands and thousands of cattle there, and they're just producing so many cubic feet of methane a day. And you're absolutely right, Chuck. I mean, the methane that's being produced by those cow lots is doing a very bad thing.
Well, not only that, but it's extremely inefficient too. Because for every 1 pound of beef or meat you get out of the animal, you have to use 20 pounds of soy or rice or corn or whatever you're feeding them.
Okay, I mean, they should get back to grass.
Let's get rid of that, Johnny. I want to hear some questions from your book regarding the global warming crises.
Well, I'll give you all 4 questions. As I said, there's 4 questions per chapter.
Okay.
And you guys can kind of tally as you go if you'd like to. The first question would be, there is no conclusive evidence showing that global warming is caused by man. True or false?
Okay, I'm going to say that's true. Trent, where are you at on that?
No conclusive evidence that global warming is caused by man.
The key word, I think, would be conclusive.
Oh, I don't know.
It's 50-50, man.
Yeah,
there's no right or wrong answer here, Trent.
I realize that, but I know we're responsible for some of it.
Okay, let's look.
I guess I'll lean to false
here.
I mean,
we're gonna keep a score. Chuck, where are you at on there? So Trent says false.
I think actually it's inconclusive that you could find anything conclusive to support or.
Okay, don't give me that double talk.
Double talk. I'm just going to lean. I'm going to lean with false because I know that we have some kind of contribution to it. I don't know if we're the main cause or whatever.
You're going with false.
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess
Chuck.
I will.
Chuck, what you got?
This is strictly a yes or no question.
It's strictly a true or false. Yeah.
Oh, I think I may have to side with Trent on that one.
Okay.
So
D, where
you're saying there is conclusive evidence that's showing that global warming is caused by man.
Well, I don't actually believe that there's anything truly conclusive, but
he wants to be a fence sitter.
I'm going to say that
I think the jury's out on it. Seriously.
Okay, so
I mean, with the Industrial Revolution all the way up to these feedlots, I mean, we made those feedlots. We put the cows there. So either way you look at it, the methane's being caused, but we put the cows in the position. So it's a natural effect, but we're causing the natural effect. So
you're
and
going to
also
say false.
Industrialization and stuff
Chuck,
for the last
Chuck,
200 years.
Would you rather sit on the fence, Chuck?
No. I mean, if I've got to pick one or the other, I have to say we are responsible. And
Okay. D, where you at?
I said false as well.
Okay, all right.
So we got 3 false and 1 true.
One true. That's right. Okay, let's go to
Let's
question.
go to the next question.
Question 2.
We should, as taxpayers, as Americans, we should be taxed based on our carbon footprint.
I'm going to go with a big bad false on that. In other words, the more things you use that they claim cause these carbon footprints,
sure.
The more they tax you for it.
What Nancy Pelosi has been on the record as supporting, Senator Barbara Boxer from California. They want to take a look at your what kind of cars you drive, what kind of income you make, the size house you have, and based on that, they're going to calculate a carbon footprint that you are supposedly producing, and we're going to be taxed based on that carbon footprint. So the question again, we should be taxed based on our carbon output, our carbon footprint.
So in other words, Chuck would get a smaller tax bill every year if he drives a Prius than me who drives a Firebird.
On the record,
I may live in a bigger house, so it may offset.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying, but yeah, that's a basic idea.
Right.
So this is for consumers, not industries, or is it? For
this
both?
is for everyone.
Be for everyone.
Consumers. We'll just say that.
Wow. Well, I mean, if you're talking about industries, I mean.
Well, I've heard it proposed for industries. I think it's actually a very good idea for them. I don't think that you should be doing that to the consumer.
No, I don't. I agree for private citizens.
Okay, so we're going to go false for both of you guys.
Yeah, I don't think individuals should be taxed, but industries and
what you got
corporations.
For me,
D? Yeah. Sure.
Okay, D's got a false. In more colorful language than that, but we're going to go with false. All right, question number 3.
Any initiative that would improve the environment should take in consideration yours and mine private property rights.
True. Did you guys get that?
I'm not sure I really fully comprehended the question.
Okay, basically anything that the state puts out that they want to improve the quality of life environmentally, they should take into consideration before they put that initiative out your own private property rights, the private property you own, how that would affect your ownership of certain things, like land, for example, or cars, or
land, vehicles.
Inanimate domain, yeah. I'd have to be with you on that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I agree. It would have to. I don't want a government messing with my property.
D, where you at? All right, another true. Okay, we're in agreement here so far, guys, on most of this stuff. All right, give me the last question there, Johnny.
Last question for this chapter. All land should belong to the government.
Oh, come on now. That's just, you're saying you're not trying to create some kind of, I've got to call you on that, man.
I know, we are. You got to call me on that one.
Okay.
I'm still working on that particular question there. But the theory behind that question was you actually had Dennis Kucinich, who we all know is running for president now. Just like with the airwaves, a lot of libertarians believe that the airwaves should be private property. We don't hear that. We hear that the airwaves are the public's domain, the public good. And
you have people like George Soros trying to bring back the fairness doctrine to radio, that Kill Talk radio.
Sure.
Okay, so everyone's going to thoughts on that, I'm sure, guys, right?
No, I think government should own our property. No.
Okay,
comrade. No,
no. There. I thought
that's clearly sounding like collective farms and stuff, but no.
All right, well let's tally these up. If you said false for the first question, Johnny, where are you at?
If you mark yourself as false on the first one, you're going to be leaning more liberal.
Okay.
If you mark yourself as true, you're going to be more conservative.
So on the first question where I answered true and everybody else and these liberal pansies in the room answered false,
right?
And they're all liberals.
They're going to lean more towards liberal. And like
on that one issue.
All right.
I had to preface this with letting you know that this is not 100% one way up or down. It's just to give you a better understanding of where you sit, because you're always going to have a moderate Republican.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have, well, I would say you're going to have a moderate liberal, but since Zell Miller, I don't think you're going to have any more of those. But
well, okay, if we answered false on question 2.
Question 2, if you answered false, that is more conservative leaning.
Okay, so we all scored points there, guys. We're all conservatives on question 2. What about question 3, if we all answered true? Are we conservative there?
Question 3, if you marked yourself as true, that would also be more conservative.
And obviously, question 4, we all answered false on. I'm assuming that puts us in the conservative camp as well.
That would be conservative also. So.
Okay, so I got 100% out of these 4, and you guys all got 75.
Who's the ideologue now?
In your patriarchal template.
Well, either way, we're all conservative now, you see.
Who's the neocon, right? So if you do that 40 times throughout each chapter of the book, 4 questions, 10 chapters, you can tally yourself up, and it's going to give you a much better ranking when you do it 40 times than what you would if it was just 4 times like we did here.
Yeah.
But that's the premise of the book. That's kind of how it works. But I would dare say a lot of you guys have answered true to the first question, or false actually for the first question. If you go in and if I'm arguing persuasively, just using data, using facts from all government resources, I tried to stay away from the National Review Online or anything that had political leanings one way or another. Kind of hard to do, but
I understand.
If you do that, you may change your opinion. You read the facts, read what each party is saying about it, and how they voted on the issues.
And you try to put those out that way in a non-biased manner, correct?
I try to.
I try to. Well, that's fair enough.
But I tell people at the beginning of the book, Scott, I think you read the introduction.
I did.
People know where I stand, and people know where I'm trying to come from and go to. And I don't make any bones about that. I try to be fair in the book, and be happy for anyone to read it. Maybe at a later date, after maybe 1 or 2 people buy the book, I'd love to come back and debate someone saying, you're wrong on this issue. For you said this in your book, and this is why you're wrong. I'm totally open to that. So that would be great.
Well, the number's toll free 1-877-SCARE-U2. That's 877-722-7382, I believe, or locally 336-996-1596. You can call us up and speak with Mr. Johnnie Garmon. And tell us, are you a liberal? Are you a conservative? We don't care if you're a liberal. I'll make fun of you, and then we'll hang up. But give us a call here, and we'll point out where you're wrong, and maybe you can go home and do some homework and come out a better person for it. But those are the numbers. Johnnie Garmon is our guest tonight, and that's his book. Now, if you want to check out his MySpace site, which he just set up not too long ago, it's www.myspace.com/.
not a Democrat now.
Thank you. I was looking back at the screen behind me trying to see it. You're not a Democrat now. Yeah, make that font bigger so I see. But yeah, not a Democrat now. What's been the response to this book from people that you've let look at it and people you've talked about it?
It's been a really good response. I've been working on this book for over a year, and not that it took me a year to write it, but doing the research, talking to people, interviews, just research basically. It took me about a year, and as I was going along, I would finish a chapter. I would shop that chapter around to close friends, people who would tell me the truth about it. This is right, this is wrong. I don't think you're persuasive enough. I think you're being too biased over here. So I did my own little, if you want to call it, focus groups as I went to say, okay, tell me what's right or wrong with this chapter, and tell me. And I did that with both conservative friends of mine and liberal friends of mine. And the response has really been good, because this is what I hear all the time, and this is the question that I ask people when I'm going to be starting my book tour here with local organizations in Myrtle Beach. But the question that I'm going to ask is, let me see you raise some hands here. How many times has that uncle come over for Sunday dinner or Thanksgiving dinner? You might be a conservative, he might be a liberal. You guys just love to sit down and chat and argue about things. How many of us have had those instances where we end up talking to someone of the other political persuasion, and then by the end of the argument, you say, well, look, why are you voting this way if you do want lower taxes, if you do believe the sanctity of marriage should be protected, if you do believe in a strong military force? You're telling me all this, I'm hearing you, but why are you going to vote for John Kerry this round for president? Don't you realize where he has stood on these issues? And they go, well, no, I just always believed that the Republicans were for the rich, and because I'm not rich, I can't be for them. So it's such a
dynamic.
Yeah, it's such a dynamic there. And when I'm talking to these people, I really found out, and I would just jokingly say, dude, you're not a Democrat. You just thought you were.
Well, no, I've got, Chuck was smiling here when you were talking about that, and I've got to bring him on. For those of you that don't know, Chuck and I are starting a political show later on this month, hopefully, if it gets off the ground. Maybe it might be October. But it's called Third Rail, the Third Rail, at thirdrailradio.com. Right now, it's just
Social Security, is it?
It is. No, it's
okay.
He's a libertarian, I'm a conservative, and we bring on different guests and things like that. But it's interesting because Chuck has worked not only on the John Edwards campaign the first time around when John Kerry and John Edwards were both running for president, but he's also worked on, believe it or not, the Vernon Robinson campaign. So you've got two, in my opinion, diametrically opposed candidates. And, so you smiled there, Chuck. What's going on in your mind there when you heard the John Kerry thing?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is look who he's running up against, man. I mean, George Bush probably has the biggest cornucopia of screw-ups of any president.
I don't know.
At least in modern history.
Warren G. Harding, man. I always bring that guy
Don't talk
up.
about my cousin like that.
Warren G. I'm just saying that two of their guys committed suicide in office.
Well,
back in the day.
At least he knew he was a screw up man, and wrote about it.
That's true.
And,
Harding did
He
eventually.
openly admitted,
Said,
I'm not a very good president.
I don't know what I'm doing, and then he died. So in office. I'm sorry to bring that up.
Pierce is a pretty bad one too, who's also related to Barbara Bush.
Oh, really, Franklin Pierce?
Yeah,
no kidding.
But I'm not a big John Kerry fan. I followed his career for a number of years, probably since '87 or '86 when he got into the Senate. And even though he's a fellow classical guitarist, I still find him to be pretty wishy-washy and actually pretty far left for a Democrat.
Huh. Interesting. Well, we're going to take a break, so if you guys stick around with us for the last half hour of World of the Unexplained tonight, our guest is Johnnie Garmon. The book is You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. And we're gonna talk some more about some of the other interesting things that he's got in his book, some of the other chapters, and some of his stances on different things. And we're going to ask him what he's learned about himself by writing the book, if there's anything that he may have found that he was a little bit more left-leaning on before he actually sat down with the pen to the paper. So you're listening to World of the Unexplained. We're talking with Johnnie Garmon tonight, and the book is You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. Give us a call, 877-SCARE-U2, toll-free in Canada and the United States, or locally, 336-996-1597. Call us up. We know you're listening. 1596. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Clements. Give us a call. We know you're out there listening. That's why they're not calling. I gave them the wrong number. Anyway, call us up. We know you're listening. We'll be right back after this.
And I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. World of the Unexplained. We got Johnnie Garmon and his book. You're
not a Democrat.
You just think you are. It's a great title, and
for some reason you can't remember it.
Yeah, but it is a great title. It challenges people, and I think it's a great way to title a book like this. Give us a call. 1-877-SCARE-U2 or 782-7382.
Oh, it's 996.
Yeah, that didn't
99596.
What? Oh. You know what? It's not up in front of me, so I have to look back here.
You know how long we've had that number, man?
We need a mirror, actually.
Yeah, and I could just, so I won't have to turn around.
Well, then you'll have to type it backwards.
See, when I'm turning around, guys can't hear me that well.
The caller's name is... Yeah.
Okay, gosh, what a sloppy start.
We're gonna do some more questions because we thought that was fun. But first, I want to say, is there anything that you learned by writing this book, Johnny, that made you either change the way you thought about a particular issue, or when you went to write about a particular issue, you found something that, hey, I just didn't know about it that made your point even stronger?
A couple of things there. With the global warming chapter especially, I have to agree. The fact of the matter is we have polluted in a lot of what we've done, especially back in, Industrial Revolution, that sort of thing. We've learned a lot from those mistakes, and we're the cleanest biggest country that there is right now. So we've put in the right measurements to try to correct those ways. The biggest thing that I've learned above and beyond that, though, which, again, that kind of persuaded me to want to get a little bit more involved in what we can, because it just makes good common sense. The biggest thing I've learned is there's no panacea for any of these problems. I don't care if we're dealing with Social Security, illegal immigration. We're going to be dealing with, welfare reform. There's no single cause to any of these problems that we have. Thus, there's going to be no single solution to any of these things. And it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people to have a 10-second soundbite on stage on one of these debates that either side is having right now, saying, okay, in 10 seconds, tell us how you're going to fix the health care problem. You're not going to be able to do it. It takes an informed, listening voter to go out, to dig a little deeper, to find out why they feel the way they feel, and to get beyond the political spin, get beyond the soundbite, get beyond the headline, and do a little bit of digging and say, okay, is this what I believe, and why is it that I believe this? And then go back and say, okay, does this line up with what Mr. Joe Politician over here is telling me he's going to do for me? So it takes a lot more than just, I went into some of these chapters thinking, okay, A, B, and C is the problem, A, B, and C is the solution. It's not going to be that way. It's got to be a comprehensive strategy to all these things. And one thing I found out above and beyond that is the fact that, and this is just the facts, and I'll argue with anybody about this, the Democrats and the liberals especially are more towards an immediate fix in any situation rather than a long-term look at what the impact of their policy is going to be and how long-term it's going to affect us. They would rather have the quick fix now, let's pass a law, than let's do the structural things that has to be done in a policy to promote what we want to promote long-term. And just a good example of that is the minimum wage. I've got one chapter entitled Minimum Wage Poverty Pains. And, we have a minimum wage problem. Well, what's the problem? People are not making enough money. Well, let's fix it. How are we going to fix it? Let's jack up the minimum wage. That can be done overnight. Well, that helps. That's a Band-Aid. But what's it going to do ultimately to the economy? How does it impact the independent business owner who has a job, but he doesn't have a job for a $7 employee? He has a job for a $5.50 employee. I can get into that in more detail, but
no, I totally understand. Being a small business owner myself, it's a competitive marketplace out there, and you've got to look at the money coming in versus the money going out, and there's all kinds of things that, as an employer, you have to pay for that the employee doesn't. But let's talk about minimum wage. I know everyone's tired of me talking about illegal immigration, so let's talk about minimum wage, and let's go through those questions if that's all right.
Here's a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Business owners should be allowed to determine what their jobs are worth rather than the federal government.
That's true. Trent?
Business owners should be allowed to determine what their jobs are worth instead of the federal government.
That's an extremely loaded question.
Of course it is.
I mean,
it's not really a loaded question.
Okay, here's
Think
the
about
deal.
this. Think
Okay,
about
here's
this.
the deal.
If you owned a business,
No. I'm talking about small business versus corporations.
Well,
I mean, that's a business, right?
If you hit
I don't think corporations should be able to determine, what. Well, I think this thing should be worth $2.50.
If the corporation says it's worth $2.50 an hour and no one shows up to do the work,
guess what?
They're going to have to raise the price.
Go up.
Well, I mean, that's
or
true.
just import a bunch of illegals.
Well, we're saying illegals importation aside.
Yeah.
Illegal importation aside, should businesses be allowed, small or large, to determine the price of what they're going to pay, the salary of what they're going to pay an employee for a particular job?
Well, I think what Trent's struggling with is, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
But you believe there should be a minimum wage, but that companies should be able to determine what wage they're going to pay their employees. Is that basically where you're coming from?
There needs to be something there so to keep unfair corporations from unfairly,
You're going to fence sit it.
Am I going to fence sit it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't really have a clear, definite answer to that. So I'm just going to say
false.
I want to say no. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't know.
So
I mean,
go with true.
But I'll be honest with you. I really haven't thought it through that well.
Okay,
we need
Chuck.
to move on.
Well, I'm going to say false, but with the caveat, or not false, excuse me.
True.
True, but with the caveat that there should be a minimum wage in place.
Okay, D. True, okay. All right, we're all T's there. Number 2.
All right, more government programs more government programs produce less poverty.
More government programs produce less poverty. I'm going to say false.
It produces ineptitude and a lack of personal self-reliance. So, you suckle at the teat of Uncle Sam.
Okay, that sounds like a false to me.
So,
Chuck, you liberal.
Well, I do think that some good things have come from government, aid. I'd have to go with you guys on this one too.
Okay, D.
More bureaucracy.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, D's got a false as well. All right, next question.
Question number 3. The stronger our family structure, the stronger our country will be.
That's true. That's a no-brainer.
That sounds like a no-brainer, but we're talking about policies, and these questions are going to sound a little too clear one way or another, and I think the reason being is you're not putting in the context of the chapter and what I document as quotes and actions.
I see what you're saying.
We're sort of taking them,
taking them as they are.
Without the material to read before.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyone we're looking at and say, well, I wouldn't say anyone, but the government, or the stronger our family structure, the stronger our government will be. We can sit there and go, well, man, that makes a lot of sense. What policies are being produced one way or another to...
Chuck's smiling. He doesn't think it's true.
Oh, no, I think it's true, and I think it's true for same-sex families as well.
Oh, God, don't even start me there.
Stronger family.
Senator Craig over here on my left, he's tapping my foot. All right. I guess that's true for both of you guys?
No, I don't think so.
All right, Trent, you're going to go with false?
There's something about it that strikes me as...
All right,
I'm not sure. I don't see the relationship, but once again, I haven't read the material, so...
Okay, we'll
I'm going to say false.
All right. Number 4.
All right, number 4, and the final question for this chapter. There is more poverty today as a result of personal choices people make rather than our societal problems, i.e. racism, glass ceiling, those sort of things. Let me say the question one more time. There is more poverty today as a result of personal choices, individual choices, than due to social society problems.
I'm going to have to say that's true. We all know the guy that could have gone to college but instead works at Papa John's.
This is true.
Yeah, I mean, poverty is basically based on how well you manage your money, and I know lots of people are bad at it. You know what I'm saying? But still, you can always pull yourself up and move forward. This is the free country that we live in, and opportunities abound. So there's really no reason for someone.
Okay, well, everybody's going with true.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I know the score here, but if everyone answered true on the first question.
More conservative.
Okay, if everyone answered false on the second question.
More liberal.
Really?
I'm sorry, let me look at this. More government programs produce less poverty.
And we answered false.
Okay, that is a more conservative view. Yeah,
I thought so. The third question we answered true, most of us, with the exception of Trent.
Okay, well, again, that's going to be a conservative if you say true. It's going to be more of a liberal if you say false.
All right, and the fourth question, we all answered true.
If you answer false, you're going to be more of the liberal tendencies. If you answer true, you're going to be more conservative.
So in general, I think that looking back over this,
I answered false on that first one.
Yeah, no, you answered true on the first
Someone
one.
said something a second ago I thought was interesting. They want, and I can understand where they come from with this. I can't, forgive me, I don't know which, may have been Trent that said it, I'm not sure. But let's have one set of standards for independent. Let's have one set of standards for independent Americans. Let's have another set if you're an independent business owner. Let's have another set if you're a corporation when it regards taxes, impact on environment.
I'm very big in large corporations being held in check, personally. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, you're an Allstate versus, Trent Lackey Insurance.
Yeah, right. I think major corporations should be heavily monitored and controlled to the T. And honestly, I think there should be a cap to their expansion.
What if you're Trent Lackey Insurance and you become Allstate?
Well, eventually I become... I'm sorry, I'm just...
I mean, that's kind of the crux of capitalism, though, isn't it?
No, but I don't think unrestricted capitalism is a dangerous thing. I really do. I
don't think that it's a dangerous thing?
I think unrestricted capitalism is a dangerous thing.
And that's why we have the FEC in place.
I mean, I think small business owners becoming entrepreneurs, building their business, and that is the American way, and that's a great way. But I think there comes a point where that thing becomes something bigger than themselves, and that's where it needs to be controlled.
Well, how many times are you going to let Texaco merge with Chevron and merge with,
you have to have guidelines. You have to have, for the common good is what you would always hear them say. And I can agree with that also. I don't think I'm disagreeing with any of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just my opinion. I think, actually multinational corporations especially, I think they're the great villains in the modern world, personally,
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Johnny, we're going to give you the last word here, and then we're going to take off and do our babbling for about 10 minutes like we normally do, and then we're, all that good stuff. The name of the book is You're Not a Democrat, You Just Think You Are. Johnny Garmon is the author. The MySpace is www.myspace.com/Not a Democrat Now. Johnny, final word, final thought.
Guys, thank you so much for letting me come on. I really enjoyed it. By the way, I was telling Scott during the break, the sound sounds great. Your new studio and everything, I know you guys are excited about that. So just keep up the good work, keep it honest, and I'm enjoying listening to it. And, I just really appreciate the opportunity coming on here and being able to express a little bit of what I believe and my views, if they're right, if they're wrong, whatever. But just keep it up, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself.
All right, well,
fantastic.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Johnny.
We appreciate it. Take care, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Johnny Garmon, you're not a Democrat. You just think you are.
Go to myspace.com/
Not a Democrat now.
Democrat now.
Chuck just thinks.
And that will be Johnny's MySpace page for his new book.
I'm not affiliated with any party here, buddy.
I thought you were a libertarian.
I'm a registered unaffiliated, so I'm
I learned from bits and
you
pieces
can't in Asheville,
You can't.
Because the Communist Party up there?
No, you can't. That's what Matt Matan got arrested for up at WWNC. Didn't you hear about that?
No.
Co-star of Talking Tall. Or I don't know if he got arrested, but
tell the story
he got carted out by the police during the town meeting because he came in and he said, they said, well, this is Mr. Matan. They tape all this stuff. I got to see the tape. And he's like, thank you for allowing me to speak today. First thing I want to say to all of you is shame on you. And basically, that after he said that, they basically told him they didn't want to hear any more about the issue, and they had the police officer escort him out because he wouldn't stop talking.
Free speech.
Exactly. But what he was talking about was in, I guess, that area. I don't know if it's countywide, if it's a city ordinance. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm going to have to find more information about it. But you had to register either Republican or Democrat. You could not register as an independent. And I don't know if this just applied to vote in the primary or if it applied just to vote in general. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, if you register Republican or Democrat, that means you don't, if on the ballot, you don't get Democratic choices. Is that what they're saying? I mean,
well, actually, in a number of states, you can't vote for the Democrat or the Republican if you're not affiliated with that party.
During the primary,
during the primary, just in presidential.
Not the general election, just the primary.
Well, that's still
because
kind of
the parties control the whole primary process in this country.
I think primary.
Ridiculous.
I mean, I'm against the party system.
Letting Iowa decide the presidential nominees each year, every 4 years.
I agree. I think it should rotate
because of ethanol subsidies.
Yeah, I think. Oh, that's interesting. And you know
that's the truth.
I didn't know
that crap about ethanol. I mean, do you realize? I mean, how much corn is going into producing this so-called cleaner fuel?
And the farmers, the corporations don't even want it because it's a drop in the bucket compared to the subsidies they get just for making corn. Period.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can understand farmers using some kind of fuel that will fuel their vehicle that they produce on the farm. You know what I'm saying? That's a great idea.
Just keep all of the oil that we have here, not export any of it, drill in Alaska, tell OPEC to stick it up their butt and spin on it, and be done with the whole situation.
I don't think we should be using oil at all.
I don't think you can do that.
Why not?
I don't think that we have enough oil in this country to do that.
We do. We drill in Alaska, man. We'll be fine.
Oh, that's nice.
Think about it. Russia, man. Russia got a lot of oil.
Yeah,
Alaska's close to Russia. I'm sure there's a lot of untapped.
That's a brilliant geological theory, Scott. Russia's close to Alaska.
There's a lot of oil in Texas.
It's cold.
Exactly.
But back to ethanol for just 1 second. You can't even use it, pipe it around. You've actually got to drive it in a truck to its destination. So you're actually using more fossil fuels
to get the ethanol.
To move
that's ridiculous.
Wow.
That's just that's just a bad idea. I don't think that we should be an oil-dependent country.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. If you stopped buying oil for just 1 month from these terrorists, then you would see a resounding drop in the price.
Oh, but how are you going to get to your work, your school, pick up your kids?
We use the domestic product here.
Oh, I see. I mean,
you grab a shopping cart and you cart them around in it or something, man.
Ride a horse.
Or cut off these big corporations, like I've said before. Target one specific company
and say, "Look, buddy,
we're not buying from this gasoline manufacturer." And do it.
I mean, how effective is that?
We could do. Which one is it that Hugo Chavez has a stake in? Citgo.
Citgo, yeah. Stop buying your gas from Citgo. Any Citgo affiliated gas station.
I would imagine
don't
so.
buy
I
from
mean,
there.
Because you are
Chavez
funding a guy that hates us.
Well, he's a dictator. It's a state-owned corporation.
Yeah, and Hugo Chavez is the state.
So stop buying Citgo gas. And guess what? You know what? Citgo's going to lower their prices if you stop doing that.
Well, they'll have to compete in the free market.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just.
But that's the way that it would work. If you target one particular gasoline station, Citgo, example. This is the way but it would have to be something that the Americans would have to get behind. And I don't think right now. I think we're in such a pathetic state of apathy that we just won't band together for anything.
But we are the culture that invented remote control and TVs. Well, we didn't invent TVs, but we
and Budweiser.
But I mean, quite frankly, basically, and I'll break out my Plato. He said democracy was a failure anyway because the general public was too inept and political matters and too self-involved with their own affairs to actually make crucial and intelligent decisions about their leadership.
We're not a democracy. We're a republic.
We're a representative republic. But still, the point is, I think we are. The general population is too inept. And we really don't care, and we're too self-involved with our own things, and that's how they get us. And that's how they always will get us.
We're too concerned about our PlayStation games and our cellular telephones and our instant messages.
What is it that what is it Cicero said? Something like, give the people bread and circuses, and we shall rule the rest, or something like that. And that's exactly it. Our PlayStations, our YouTubes, the Internet, whatever. That's our bread and circuses. And for the most part, political things, well, I guess I'll vote. maybe not. I
mean, then the problem is most people don't keep up with it enough. They don't even know local government-wise who their representatives are.
Yeah, a lot of times it's so complicated and so overwhelming that it seems like, okay, I spend all my time learning about this stuff, and I'm going to vote Republican this guy, and just compared to some Joe Schmo who hears a 10-second sound clip on a debate and go like, I'm going to vote for him. And his less informed decision counteracts my informed decision. And there's a lot more people listening to that 10-second sound clip than people sitting there doing the research. And that's just basically how I feel.
You're right. You're right. And I think on a local level that translates to, well, I generally vote Republican or I generally vote Democrat because I feel that this platform speaks to me more on the major issues. So if you're labeled with an R or a D behind your name, then someone's more willing to vote for you. If they don't know who you are, they're just going to go the party ticket.
Yeah, and I think that's just a shame, personally, because it allows for too much just corruption, and all politics is corrupt. I don't care what country you're in, including our own. Wow, I'm sorry.
Well, Mr. Kami has said it best. Chuck, what do you think?
I didn't quote any marks in there.
I know.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about a point he had made earlier, but I think that generally the apathy is generated from very nuanced issues in politics. It's very rarely cut and dry. And that's generally what people want to disseminate on is something that's very easy. You can decide on very very quickly. Instead of having, like you said, to do the research to keep up with it and to make an informed decision on it. I don't know if Americans are able to handle all that.
I don't think they have the discipline or mental self-control a lot of times.
That's what generates the apathy.
And that's why when they go to a restaurant and they ask, what would you like to drink? They immediately say, Coke.
I mean, they could.
Right about that. There may be something to that.
I'm not saying that they could. I mean, they couldn't because they can. They absolutely can. It's just a question of if they would.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
And that's how I feel about it. I don't know.
Well, it seems like we've survived another episode of World of the Unexplained. Next week, we have Trent's exorcist friend on. What's his name again?
Daniel Gargiello.
We hope we're not slaughtering that name. Yeah, Daniel Gargiello.
He is an exorcist.
That's going to be fun.
We'll get some information up pretty soon about him for next week.
So, I'll be working hard on that.
Thanks again, Johnnie Garmon, for coming on the show and talking politics with us, and all of our affiliates out there. Thanks again, chat room guys. Ron, thanks for calling. Thanks, Dee, for putting the stuff up on the computer back there so I can totally not make an idiot of myself again.
And this is Jay Scott, your only JD DJ, coming from the new studios here on the OmniSound Radio 1 network.
This is Trent Lackey. We're coming to you from Kernersville, North Carolina, a small town. We talk about big things. Chuck, take it out.
Oh, and quoting Senator Larry Craig, thank you all for coming out today on this fabulous Labor Day.
And what do you think about this? Get it, man? Oh, man.